Hello and welcome to my class. Of course, I'm delighted to have you join me here in my class. Now, remember, in our previous class, I actually talked on the topic Joseph as a leader. Now, with the main topic centered on leadership, actually, we decided to narrow it down to looking at Joseph as a leader. Now, I taught on how Joseph was able to go through the rigors in the hands of his brothers through slavery and all of that, and ended up in the land of Egypt and emerged a leader according to the plans, the dreams that God gave to him. Now, in this particular module, I will be focusing on the topic Moses as a leader. Now, Moses, God's chosen leader. Now, to interest you to note here that Moses was born in Goshen. That's the lower Egypt, the ancient Egypt actually. He's an Israelite by nationality, and of course is known as the prophet of God. All right. And of course, the father of Moses is Aram, and the mother is Jochebed, of course, Hebrew, of course. He was born to the Levite family. Okay, of course, an adoptive mother was Pharaoh's daughter, of course. And okay, we'll just move on. Let's look at quickly the objectives to these wonderful lessons, then we'll take it up from there. Now, number one, the objective lessons. By the end of this lesson, it's important that you as a student should be able to describe the major event of Moses' early life. And two, you should be able to identify his personal and leadership qualities. All right. And three, also, you should be able to explain why Moses was a successful leader. Number four, you should be able to compare his style of leadership with what obtains today. And again, lastly, be able to actually also explain how Moses was able to lead a complaining people. All right. Now, quickly, let's move ahead and look at it. It's important that you know that after the death of Joseph in Egypt, a new Pharaoh who did not know Joseph arose. Now, he was exceedingly afraid of the increase in the population of the Israelites in the land of Egypt. Okay, as a result of this, the king therefore devised obnoxious way of dealing with them. Now, he made the Israelites to serve with rigor and bitterness. As if this was not enough, he instructed the midwives to kill their sons at birth too. Now, the midwives here was Shifran and Puah. Those were the Hebrew midwives that Pharaoh actually consulted and spoke to. Shifran and Puah. Can you repeat that after me? Shifran and Puah. They were the Hebrew midwives, okay, that Pharaoh actually instructed. Now, the midwives feared God and did not hearken to the instructions. So he therefore commanded his people that every son born to the Israelite should be cast into the river Nile. Now, it was this critical period that Moses was actually born by a couple from the tribe of Levi. Now, it's important, I said this before, the name of the father again is Aram. Now, his mother's name was Jochebed. They were both Hebrew, okay, from the Levi's family. All right. When Moses was born, the mother tried to hide him for about 3 months, but when she could no longer hide him, she made a basket of borash and dabbed it with bitumen pitch before she put the child in it and placed it among the reed at the riverbank. Now, Pharaoh's daughter, now I know you might want to ask, what is the name of Pharaoh's daughter? Now, Pharaoh's daughter was called actually Queen Bihar, Queen Bithia, now in the Midrash. All right, that was the name of Pharaoh's daughter. Now, Pharaoh's daughter saw the child and adopted him as a baby. Now, she picked the child and unknowingly gave him to the mother to nurse for her for a wage. Now, the mother, that is Moses' mother now, Jochebed, finished nursing the baby and handed him over to Pharaoh's daughter, who named the baby Moses, for she said, I drew him out of the waters. Now, Moses grew up in the house of Pharaoh, but was conscious of the fact that he was an Hebrew and he hated the wickedness, okay, the wicked treatment of his people by the Egyptians. Now, this made him kill an Egyptian who was fighting with a Hebrew. On another occasion, he saw two Hebrew, okay, struggling. He saw two Hebrew actually struggling together, and he attempted to separate them. But one of them said, "Who made you a prince? Okay, a judge over us? Do you mean to kill me as you killed the Egyptians?" By this statement, Moses knew that his killing of the Egyptians was no longer a secret. Pharaoh heard about it, the case, and determined to eliminate Moses. So he therefore fled to Midian. All right, this was why actually Moses left Egypt and fled to Midian. There in the land of Midian, he found a favor with a priest of Midian, Reuel, that is Jethro. Jethro gave him one of his daughter Zipporah for a wife, while Moses was keeping the father's flock, that his father-in-law's flock, that's Jethro, his father-in-law. He came to a mountain called the Mount Oreb. You saw it here, where an angel of the Lord appeared to him in the form of a flame of fire in the midst of a bush. God called him out of the bush and said, "Moses, Moses, do not come near. Put off your shoes for your feet, for the place on which you are standing is a holy ground." Now, this you can actually find in Exodus chapter 3 from verse 4 down to 5. Now, this occasion actually marked the call of Moses to lead the Israelites out of the bondage of Egypt. Now, Moses gave a lot of excuses, though, why he might not be able to lead the Israelites, but God assured him that he would be with him and he would perform a lot of signs and wonders that would change Pharaoh's mind to let the Israelite go. Now, this again, you can read up for yourself in the book of Exodus, Exodus chapter 3, verse 20. Now, quickly, let's move on. Let's look at the leading of the Israelites by Moses. Now, Moses was reluctant to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, but he felt they would not believe that God actually appeared to him. God therefore gave him a series of signs that he would perform to convince the people, as he complained that he was not eloquent. Now, God gave him Aaron. Now, Aaron is dead. Now, remember here that the relatives of Moses, of course, was Aaron, that's the brother, and Miriam, the sister. All right, it's important that you note that. Then again, you know that the wife of Moses was Zipporah, and I said they gave birth to two sons. Okay, they had Eleazar and Gershom. Okay, those were the two sons of Moses. All right, now, like I said, God gave him Aaron to assist him. Attempt by Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt met with stiff oppositions from Pharaoh, okay, because God had determined to harden his heart, that's Pharaoh's heart, in order to bring untold suffering on the Egyptians. Now, the Lord afflicted the Egyptians with a lot of plague before Pharaoh reluctantly allowed the Israelites to go. Now, as soon as he let them go, he pursued them again to bring them back, because God had hardened his heart so that he would achieve victory over him and his host. Now, Exodus 14, verse 14, you find that there, okay? As the Egyptians drew near the Israelites, they were afraid, and they accused Moses, okay, that he deliberately wanted them to die in the wilderness. But Moses confronted them when he said, "Fear not, stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see them no more. Now the Lord will fight for you, and you shall only have to be still." Now you can find this in Exodus chapter 14 from verse 13 down to 14. Actually, you see that there. God instructed Moses to stretch his rod, all right, to lift up his rod and stretch forth his hand over the sea. Okay, Moses stretched his hand over the sea, and the sea was divided, and of course the Israelites passed through on the dry land, and the Egyptians pursued them in the sea. God commanded Moses to stretch his hand again over the sea, and it closed up, and all the Egyptian soldiers got drowned in the sea. Now that we saw shortly. And having successfully delivered the Egyptians from the bondage of Egypt, God fulfilled the covenant he had made with their father Abraham. That's the patriarch. God decided to further establish another covenant with the Israelites as a nation. All right. And these are culminated in the Ten Commandments. Of course, you saw the Ten Commandments with Moses there, which were read to the people, and they wholeheartedly agreed to abide by them. When Moses went up to the mountain and he stayed long due to impatience, the people cajoled Aaron to make a golden calf for them to worship as their God. By this act, they broke the first commandment and sinned against God. God threatened to wipe them, out and make a nation of Moses. That's Exodus 14 verse 10. Moses interceded for them and God forgave them, but it was not without punishment, because due to this rebellious act, about 3,000 of them actually died. Now the Israelites rebelled against God for the second time when the 12 people sent out by Moses to spy the promised land came back. 10 of them brought what the Bible prescribed as evil report, and this made the people murmur against God. 10 out of the 12 men reported that the Israelites were like grasshopper before the occupant of the land, despite the words of the encouragement that came from Caleb and Joshua. The people still did not believe in the omnipotent power of God, and they did not bother to consider the signs and wonders God had performed in the past to deliver them from Egypt. God therefore threatened to wipe them out and make a great nation of Moses. Moses, however, did not succumb to this offer from God, but he interceded for the people. And this point, to his exceptional leadership qualities, God finally forgave them, although not without punishment. The journey to the promised land was prolonged from 40 days to 40 years. So please take note, from 40 days to 40 years. That became their punishment as a result of their rebellious move against God. Now, lastly, just before we round up, Moses' qualities as a leader. What are some of those qualities that make Moses a leader? Number one, Moses was a very patriotic nationalist that rendered selfless services to his people. Number two, all that matters to him was the interest of his people and not his own interest. Twice, God threatened to wipe the Israelites out and make a great nation of the descendant of Moses, but he refused this and interceded for the people. He was courageous in facing the challenges from Pharaoh. That's 3 and 4. He was very obedient and had strong faith in the God he was 7. Now, Moses was a leader with high sense of humility. He knew how to manage crisis. On several occasions, the Israelites rebelled against him, but he managed the crisis efficiently. Now, these and many more are some of the qualities of Moses as a leader. Now, difficulties in leading stubborn people. It is difficult to lead people, especially those who are very difficult to be pleased or satisfied. Now, this was shown by the actions of the Israelites. Things that should have been easy were made difficult. For example, it was the murmuring of the Israelites in the wilderness that prolonged their journey. A journey they could have completed in 40 days took 40 years. All right, thank you so much for your time.